Hello, my name is Pikiss-Chris,
And I'm Bastard Swordsman.
and welcome back to another episode of Scenes from a Podcast, the only podcast where we draw out all of our words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's stop this. This is like really unfunny.
Yeah, I know. All right. What have you been up to lately?
Well, I've been reading a manga called Jujutsu Kaisen, and I recently caught up on it.
Yeah, I think you told me about that a couple of times. Uh, what's it about again?
I mean, it's just a battle shonen.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but like spooky themed with like ghosts and shit and curses and whatever.
So like Soul Eater?
I guess so. It's not as horny as Soul Eater though.
Oh my god. I I couldn't get past the first episode of Soul Eater because it was so horny.
Wow. You say woke NPC much?
I know. I no, but really
So you're a witch thought.
what?
I was referencing the really awful what who's that anime guy?
The anime guy.
Nux. I'm
Oh,
referencing the song he did.
oh yeah. Oh him. Oh god. Oh yeah, that one.
But yeah, Soul Eater's kind of mid, so you
Yeah.
weren't really missing out.
I'm I was like pulled in by the unique art style and cool ass AMV clips I saw when I was a fucking middle schooler, and then fucking
I've become so numb.
no, but then that what was her name, Blair, comes on screen, and she's just like obnoxious.
She's pretty hot though.
I don't disagree with that. Like, I'm not saying that I wasn't into it, but like, you gotta separate the monkey brain from the big boy brain sometimes, you know?
Yeah. Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't think it's like amazing, but I thought it was like decent.
Yeah. So what's the plot about in that one?
Um, okay, so basically there's this like really strong demon sorcerer whatever thing called Sukuna, and his like he had 20 fingers and they're like scattered around, and the main character just like eats one of them and then he possesses him.
He I assume he doesn't know he's eating a demon's finger when he does that.
No, he does.
Oh, so he like deliberately tries to get their powers?
I mean, I forget exactly what it was, but like I don't know. I don't know, but there are also like other like baddies that the characters fight against.
When you said baddies, my mind went from
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There are only like one or two hot women in the series, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame. They need to throw a Blair in there.
Anyway, not really up to much else, I guess.
Yeah. Same here, honestly. I was planning, to see Asteroid City. Uh like I said I was, but then like the week got really hectic and I had to cancel my tickets. Uh,
You should have seen Oppenheimer instead, anyway.
maybe I don't know. Uh, what else? Oh, I went to my parents' house to celebrate my mom's birthday, and I played Cards Against Humanity with my mom and dad because that's something that you do.
Yeah, and how did that go?
It was a pretty good game overall, you know. It's a tradition in our household to play Cards Against Humanity whenever we meet up. Um, can't really. Well, actually, there was this one kind of funny card combination. I think it was like the last card or something. So it was like the black card was like, "What's in my pussy?" And the winning card was soup that's better than pussy. And I thought that got a chuckle out of me. And I thought it would get a chuckle out of all of you at home, all five of
Um,
you.
I thought Cards of Humanity was like pretty cool back in the day because you could just say something like sort of offensive or like sexual, but now I'm like, I don't know, it was not really that funny.
Yeah. I mean, you really gotta like. I don't think a lot of the newer cards are funny, but at the same time, when once you've like
Do they
seen,
still make cards?
I think so. I don't know. I assume they've still got a business model, but uh, for me, it's like on the one hand, the newer cards or the cards that like came out after a certain point just weren't funny anymore because they were like pulling their punches, and you can't
Yeah.
keep using the older cards over and over because they get really stale. So it's like you have to like sort of take a break from it so that it's not fresh in your mind and you can be like wowed by the cards again. No, that's the heart of the cards right there.
Mm. You're not really selling it that well. But
I mean, I don't really feel incentivized to sell it. At the end of the day, it's still just fucking Cards Against Humanity.
yeah, damn. Maybe we should just get into the film.
Yeah,
Not that I feel very passionate about that either.
yeah. Oh my god. You do the intro, obviously.
Okay, so the film I recommended was from 2002. It was Demonlover by Olivier Assayas, and we've covered one of his movies before,
Or
which I
McConaughey.
quite liked. Um, and okay, so basically the premise of this film, which I thought was a bit interesting from the outset. Basically, this French firm decides to try to buy the rights to basically like a hentai studio so that, they can make some bank off of it. And there's also like, some espionage and stuff going around to like, behind the scenes because multiple companies want to get their hands on it because they think they'll make a lot of money from selling this over the top porn. And there's other shit going on too. It's very
Understatement.
2000. Yeah, it's very early 2000s, early computer graphics, all of that stuff, like very Y2K sort of vibe and the filmmaking and the messaging regarding like internet and stuff. Yeah, what did you think of Demon Lover?
I think I enjoyed. So there are like two halves to this movie. Spoiler. I'm gonna get into like the broad.
Spoilers for Demon Lover.
Yeah, spoilers. I'm gonna be broad strokes for now, but like there are two halves. The first half is a lot more grounded and a lot more based on like office politics and legality and like the sort of elitist bubbled characters that inhabit that world, and that was more interesting to me than the second half, which certainly went in a strange direction that I felt was almost periodic. Uh,
Uh, Heretic, I believe, is the word.
Parodic, sorry. But it's it's basically that it's trying to make a commentary on the desensitization of porn, but it equates two vastly different like things as being on the same level, and it's just really goofy to me because of that. Uh,
Have you ever one film this reminds me of a lot is Videodrome. Have you ever seen it?
no,
Have you heard of it?
no.
It's with James Woods. Yeah, I like that film though a lot more than this. I would say more the theming is about like the sort of commodification of sexuality and like I don't know, like there are a lot of films and media from this time period. Coincidentally, a lot of them tend to be from Japan. Like we covered All About Lily Shushu, which sort of covers, like the internet age and the decline of, individuality and, empathy between people and, how the internet was like sort of breaking down these sort of like the ways we communicate and like sort of contributing to the atomization of society. Like basically it's okay. Like it's about how like in the internet age like sexuality is like made more into like a product, and like when you combine that with the internet, which basically like you can find any sort of sick shit you want, then I don't know. Damn, I'm like I'm trying to like say something good about this film because I don't think it's like very good. Okay, we had some technical difficulties there, but basically this film is about like corporations and their relationship to the internet and how generally corporations have no scruples and will try to like make money off of anything, and along with the nature of the internet and where you can basically sort of find anything and put anything out, and you mix that with sort of like a human drive to search out more like depraved and stimulating content, then basically corporations will go all the way, I guess. I don't know. I'm having a hard time like really deciphering the meaning from the film because I think it is a bit confused, unless I'm just stupid. I mean, maybe it could use another viewing, but I'm not exactly in any sort of rush to do that because I didn't care for it very much on my first viewing.
I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you because like the big problem with this film is that it's not like exploring like any of that through the lens of like actual adult actors. There are no like, at least not at first, but like it's a hentai studio, like you said. You know, it's all just drawings and computer models, and it's like it's really not. There's really not much you can say about the way the porn industry would exploit like a real like adult actress. You know how they, all of the ways they like hook them in and keep them in that industry. And it's like, to me it just feels like someone having like a gut reaction of you, to like gross hentai shit. But it's not really, there's not much substance to it, you know. I mean, that's
I
my.
think I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
So I mentioned the film Videodrome before, and I think like that sort of like delved into more the effects of content like violence on the human brain, whereas because the main character is also consuming the violence them himself. But here, like, it's not really about that. Like, they see the hentai once, and then, like, the rest of the film is just sort of behind the scenes. Like, it's not really about, like, the, the porn itself, and it's about, just sort of, spy. It's just a crappy spy story and,
Yeah,
like, a sort of
it really
political
like,
drama.
it really jumps the gun, like after a certain point. Like there's a point where where she like slips into like a fucking Mission Impossible cat suit and like tries to steal like something off of a laptop in someone's room, and like gets into a fight with them. And it's the
That
rest of.
fight scene was pretty bad, I
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, the rest of the film is absolutely not like that. It's so jarring. It suddenly becomes like Hollywood schlock, which is funny because like Irma Vemp, that the other film we watched by this guy, was very critical of that. And here we see like the tropes of Hollywood like just used shamelessly.
Like shaky cam, it's close up. There's
Yeah,
like so many cuts so you can barely tell what's going on. There's like no weight to it. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
not
The
good.
Yeah, it's like obviously fake blood because there's like no makeup put on to show like scars that blood would be coming out of. Just really.
It was really comical how like the Japanese couple walks in and they just completely do not notice like the bloodstains on the wall too.
Yeah,
Like I was thinking, is this some sort of like cheeky like thing like point of the film saying, whoa, like society really has been so desensitized to violence that they don't recognize it when it's right in front of them? Or was it just fucking stupid?
yeah. I mean, I really hate like hyperbolic shit like that. Like we make fun of the "we live in a society" phrase a lot, but I don't think we really like analyze why we make fun of it. And I think that's like the attitude behind it of like, I'm the only like person on the fucking earth who recognizes the hypocrisies of, our culture, and like everything they say is just like surface level shit that even middle schoolers can notice.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I don't think I liked this movie all that much, honestly.
Um, I don't know. There were like a couple funny scenes, like when the one blonde woman is just gaming naked. You ever like just game without wearing any clothes at all?
No.
Yeah.
It's
Um. Yeah. I don't know. Damn. I thought it was funny when they said Lara Croft sexslave.com.
Oh my god.
And then like when in the red room or whatever, you see the chick dressed up as Lara Croft. It almost felt like a like, oh my god, it's Lara Croft sexslave.com, that one site they mentioned.
Yeah.
I liked how that like came back. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. This this whole movie gives off the vibes that like someone like stumbled across their kids like search history and saw them like watching like really fucked up shit about like their favorite fictional waifus or whatever and was like fucking western civilization has fallen and decided to make a movie out of it. You
The
know,
West has fallen.
yeah.
Billions must watch Demonlover.
Yeah. But it's like because like it really does just like equate red rooms and human trafficking to tentacle hentai, and it's like
One of the messages basically, if you see tentacle porn, you'll want to kill your sexual partners.
yeah, it's so out there, you know? It's like
Not like really in a good way either.
yeah, it I don't I don't want to say this. Fuck it, I'm gonna say it anyway. It really did give off old man yelling at cloud vibes to me.
I
You know?
mean, maybe a little bit. I mean, I feel like it's a bit more well researched for the time than other people would be, even though they pronounce Japanese words wrong, like manga.
Mangatronics.
Yeah, it's supposed to be manga, but whatever. I don't know. Like it was a sort of interesting concept, just like for the novelty of it, because you don't really see, Western films sort of about that. And like there are people I follow online who like swear by this film and think it's a masterpiece, but I don't know.
You know, I think yeah, you know, just after a certain point, it had like a really interesting build up, and I don't know about you, I liked this sort of office politics behind it.
Yeah, the setup is good, but like once it really gets into the meat of it, it really falls off for me.
Yeah, it's just like the Wikipedia summary says that it's about like the lengths corporations will go to in order to like control these markets and espionage and all that, but the only thing we see about it is like cartoonish spy thriller crap, and then like the ending where it's just like they blackmail her into joining one of the fucking red rooms. It's just so goofy to me.
The very final shot is like very funny.
It's just like
of little Timmy trying to like sign up to use his dad's credit card to sign into demonlover.com or whatever.
yeah. She's just looking into the camera. It's
He's
slowly.
just doing his home, and he's not even like, like at the ready, like to beat his meat. He's just like casually looking at it after doing his homework. Boy, this is cool. Dad's gonna freak when he finds out what his credit card was used for, though.
Yeah, that was like my takeaway as soon as the credits rolled. That's the big impact that the film left me with.
I
So
cared more about seeing that than about the main character.
that they should make a Demon Lover sequel all about that. He just goes to
Yeah.
castle.
Did you know? Well, no, you couldn't. You probably didn't know. So Chloe Sevigny is the one who plays the blonde, and she turned down the lead role in Legally Blonde to be in this.
Good for her, honestly. Uh,
Um,
I don't
I mean,
think
it
she
is sort
was.
of.
I don't think she was presented with good choices either way, but
Yeah. I mean, it is sort of like similar to Irma Vep in a way that it's really just about a bunch of like really like petty narcissists like fighting with each other and like I don't know, just being really jealous.
but they felt more human in Irma Vep, and they
Yeah, they
dealt
did. They did. They did.
they dealt with more like human issues. Like the most we get is like, oh, she's such a tough boss, and the secretary doesn't like her because she forces her to do work and not have fun. Okay.
The one scene where she threatens her with the gun was really awkward. Like then she just like turns back and picks her up again, and then she like says, like, why did the person you just had threaten me with the gun make you do that? And then she just says it.
It's
Like, what?
just
Was I missing something there? That did happen, right?
it's just like the whole scene is like she gets in the car, the other person gets in the car, she pulls a gun out, threatens her, to go down into this, like the bottom of this car garage, and like sort of like, and then she just fucking leaves, and then she picks him up again, and then they have a conversation. Oh, and also she asks for the gun the second time, and she just gives it to her because that's
What it
something.
would have been really it would have been a good movie if she just shot her after that. That would have been funny. Then I would have like known that it was a comedy.
Give me the gun. No. Or
Um yeah, I don't know. I think this is definitely like the biggest miss so far that we've discussed, and I was like genuinely interested in it, but I think this is like just even like for the films so far on the podcast that I didn't really particularly care for, I wouldn't really call them bad, but I would honestly call this bad.
it's like it doesn't even, it's not devoid of like
It's
redemptive
it's not
qualities.
yeah, it's not like completely irredeemable, but it's just I don't know. There's just like I don't know. I don't think it really achieved everything that it really set out to accomplish,
To me,
and it could have been a lot better.
it's like it's trying to criticize like things that are definitely worth criticizing, but it like it starts at it from like the wrong framework. Like, why, how, how is human trafficking related to fucking hentai? And all of the interesting office politics just get dropped for the second half of the movie, where it basically becomes a Hollywood thriller. And I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point.
Yeah. I guess a cool thing is that in the final scene, a song by the black metal band Dark Throne is used. That's not a band that you would see used in a movie soundtrack, but that's basically it.
Yeah. I think it was kind of funny, the scene where she has sex with like her coworker and then she shoots him. I don't know, that just felt like something
It
that
was very schlocky.
yeah.
Uh,
Um,
um, I don't really have that much else to say, I guess. Maybe not the best discussion ever, but
I don't know. Like, um well shot, well acted, some pretty decent lighting. Um, that's
yeah.
about it. It gets the basics down. I feel like it just needed like a less reactionary writer behind this to give like a more nuanced
Yeah.
criticism of corporate culture and especially like the porn industry. But,
Hmm.
you know, what are your final thoughts?
Not very good.
All right. Uh
I would, I mean, I'd still might recommend like watching it for yourself to come to your own conclusion, but aside from that, no, I would give it like a 4.
yeah, I'd probably give it like, yeah, a 4 because that first half was pretty decent. I do
Mm,
think the second half works a lot better if you approach it from the lens that it's an unintentional comedy. But
kind of hard to really
yeah,
believe that, but yeah.
uh, yeah. So they can all be gems. Hello, everybody. This is Pikiss-Chris and Bastard Swordsman here. Uh, because the Demonlover episode ended up being so short, we decided to combine it uh, with our next recommendation, my choice, Life of Pi. And we're going to be spending the next half of this episode talking about that movie.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go first then. So I initially saw this movie in theaters with my parents. This film didn't get a lot of advertising when it first came out. Came out in the middle of the big marvelization of the Hollywood machine. But
Same year as the Avengers.
yeah, yeah. But I really liked this movie. It really stuck with me. Uh, Partially because I sort of gravitated towards its like explorations of religion and like the struggle of faith, but it also had like a lot of other things in it too. Uh, what did you think of it? uh, Mr. Swordsman?
Um, hmm. Well, this isn't my first time like starting to watch it because when we were both in high school, we went to this club that ended up disbanding pretty quick because it didn't have enough people showing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a film club, and the first thing we watched, I believe, was Life of Pi, and we only got like 40 minutes or so into it. So this is my first time seeing it in full, though. That was like I want to say honestly like 7 years ago, but yeah,
Probably more like 8,
yeah,
pushing 8, probably.
uh, yeah, 7, 8, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a while ago, but um, I wasn't a huge fan of this, honestly. I think the themes regarding religion and faith and how Pi, you know, sort of, finds his own faith and his own sort of stuff that he believes in is interesting, but it's really only like it's not as like much of an like active theme in the second half of the film. It's really only like thematically related to the idea of like storytelling. um and I think the development like of that plot line where he finds these different finds out about these different religions, then he adds them like sort of to his general like view, his just personal religious beliefs. I don't think that was like really developed very well. Like there's this scene where he finds out about Christ, and he's like questioning about Christ, like, oh, why would God send his child to suffer for a bunch of strangers? And it's like it goes from there, like him not really understanding what the priest is telling him and not really like sort of getting why that's a sign of God's love or whatever. And then just immediately then like he says, I came to love Christ, but I would have liked to see more of that. Like it just immediately goes from him questioning to him being like, thank you, Vishnu, for introducing me to Christ. And it's like, okay, I would have liked some like more explanation for how he was able to like come around to that and what like made him connect with the story of Christ. But I don't know. And like I don't know. Very obviously, India is a very religiously divided country, basically between Hinduism and Islam, and it's an interesting thing that he sort of combines religious beliefs from both of those religions when that's such like a big point of conflict between Indians. Um, but yeah, it was sort of interesting. I don't know whether I prefer the first half or the second half because they both have things I like and things I really don't like about them.
I mean, I could definitely see someone arguing that the first half has more going on plot wise, you know. But even so, it's mostly all set up.
Yeah,
It's contextualizing how he got there, so you actually give a damn about
yeah,
his struggle. You know.
yeah. Spoiler alert. I did not really care for the ending. Um, but before I get to that, I want to talk more about the first half. Okay, first off, I really didn't like the writer guy. He had no place in the film. It really just felt like, oh, this is a film for Western audiences, so we need this white guy that Pi will be telling the his tales to, so that we can relate to the white guy.
The I don't even know who this guy is. the
He's
actor.
just referred to as the writer.
Yeah.
He's just there listening to Pi telling his story, and he's writing about it. That's it. Like his his involvement in the plot is non-existent.
Yeah.
Like he may as well not exist. It may as well just be Pi talking directly to the audience. And I don't get why they have this just white guy, and his acting is not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll concede I don't think he's a good actor, but I do like it as a framing device of because like you said the whole film is about storytelling, and a big part of Pi's
Yeah.
character is that he's a storyteller. So him, interacting with this character who he's sort of expositing to, made sense to me at least. I feel like it's a take on the narrator trope of
Yeah.
the let me tell you the story. It's all happened past tense, but you know of the ways to do that, having it be someone recounting it to like someone who exists in that world, I feel like helps flesh out the world and makes it feel more real than if it was just like a
Mhm.
disembodied voice talking directly to the audience going, "Yep, that's me."
You're probably wondering how I got into this situation.
Yeah. It's a long story involving a Bengal tiger.
I
Anyways,
think it's Bangle,
yeah,
not Bangal.
I don't know why I pronounced it like that.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I guess one of my problems is that the film takes a long time to really get going. And then it does get going, and some of it is kind of cool. Like there's some really creative imagery. I love there's this one shot where he's on the water, and it's sunset, and it's just a beautiful shot, like just of orange and blue. And there's the scene with the whale that looked really good, although some of the CG hasn't really aged
Well,
too well, like the flying fish and stuff. But
I feel
um,
like the most of the film's CG is like so immersive, but like one of the first CG shots you see is the fakest looking elephant walking across the screen imaginable.
it it looks like it kind of looks like the introduction to a Hallmark movie or something,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But
and like along with the typefacing.
yeah, and then but like contrast that with the CG on the tiger. It's one of the most realistic CG animals.
Yeah, something like 90% of the
Yeah.
shots with the tiger are CG, which is actually pretty insane, really impressive. I would say that still holds up today. I mean, one of the problems with CG is that it ages really fast, but um, especially for the time, that would looked amazing, and yeah, it still looks really great today, and it's pretty immersive.
Yeah. It's not even just like the textures of oh, look at the fur. It's like the movements feel really real. They feel like how a real tiger would move. Just like the eyes, the sort of body language. It feels very alien, and yet also like there's something going on in its head too. You know.
So, fun fact, well, not really so fun, but the animation studio went bankrupt after this film was completed, and the director did not really properly credit them.
Yeah. That's why we're having all these strikes in Hollywood, don't you know? Uh,
Yep.
yeah. Support writers, support visual effects artists.
Well, yeah, animators. Animators get the shortest stick of them all.
Yeah, definitely. regardless of the way the the effects team were treated, I do feel they did a really good job, not just on
Yeah,
like the CG, but also on like there are actually some practical effects in this film too. Like the whole like ocean was like part of it is CG, but most of it was built in this giant, tank, this aquarium.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like insane the amount of water they used and the techniques, the lighting, the camera angles they used to actually make it look like the ocean and not just like a big pool.
yeah. That was definitely impressive.
Yeah.
Um, so I think this is the third Ang Lee film I've seen, and it kind of just um, it has demonstrated even more that he's not really a director who sort of has, you know, uh, like a specific style. Like there's not really, you can't really point to it and say, oh yes, this is so Ang Lee. Like it's just very different. He has a very diverse filmography. Like this is definitely not anything like the Ice Storm, and it's also a good bit different in tone from even Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But um, did you know that originally M Night Shyamalan was planned to be the director?
I did not know that. That would have been a much different movie. A much
Yeah, it's because the region that the beginning of the film takes place in, I think it's Pondicherry or something like that. I probably completely like messed up what it was called, but M Night Shyamalan is also from that same region of India. But I think he declined, and he also like thought that people would have like would really just associate the ending of the film with just M Night Shyamalan because every M Night Shyamalan movie has like this sort of twist, and this film kind of does have that in a way.
I actually spoilers. You said you didn't like the ending. I kind of want
Yeah,
to
I I,
talk.
I don't.
I actually really liked it. Um Normally I'm not a big fan of uh ambiguous endings. I feel like a lot of the time they're just a way to like not resolve a film properly. With this one, it's like we already had like the story be told to us, and basically like there's this scene where it's like he's being asked to tell the story again, right after it happened chronologically to him, and they don't like the story he gave, so he gives them another one. Now there's like the reason I like this is because it's like he gives one story that's very fantastical and very hard to believe, with the surviving on a boat for that long with a tiger and then coming across the carnivorous meerkat island. And then there's the one where he like is stranded with a bunch of other people, and one by one they all die, and he uh kills the cook. But the reason I like that is because there's plausible deniability for both stories being the true story. The second one is easier to swallow, just because it's more conventional. But the first one, there's that doubt because it's like he only switches to the second one because the people he's telling the story to insist that they give him a story that's, easy to believe. And I really
It
like that ambiguity because it leaves it up to the
well,
audience, you know.
it kind of ties into something that Pie's father says like earlier in the film about how he wants his son to not like just blindly believe. Um, but in a way, if they just believed in his original story, they would be blindly believing. But them like not accepting that and is seen as like them or it's almost seen as like a negative thing because the second story he's telling is just like, not anywhere near as romantic or fantastical or anything. Um, so I don't know. I think it sort of clashes with that.
I mean, I can
Um,
see where you're coming from, you know.
but I don't know. I also like that. I don't know. I was kind of like waiting for some like I don't know. The film was sort of losing me towards the end. Like I did sort of like my favorite part of the film was just, seeing him sort of adapt to, life on the sea with this tiger and like sort of, finding a way to survive and live in harmony with it in his own way. But like the alternate story like kind of, just would defeat the purpose or because you know the tiger would be representing himself, so I don't know, that would be kind of lame.
Yeah. I mean, the way I come again, I just like I just felt the way it implemented the idea of there being two versions of the story was like really clever, you know. That because it's not like a well, obviously the second one is the true one because that's the easier
Yeah.
to swallow one. It's the well, there's a little bit of doubt to both. It's like you decide which one is real, and he says so much to the white guy at the end too.
Well, I think one of my problems also is that the story itself of him being stranded out on sea with the tiger isn't, well, I mean, if it was reality, it would be, an interesting, real event. But as a fictional story, it's kind of not that interesting because it's sort of, I don't know, like it's not a plot heavy film. Like it's just sort of, an adventure thing. Like, they wander around and crazy stuff happens. But like as a narrative, I don't think it's really that interesting of a tale. Um, I don't know.
So like you're saying that like the possibility that it could have all been like fake, like makes you lose interest in it then, or is that what you're saying?
I mean, I just don't think that really adds anything to it because I don't think either story is interesting enough on their own. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's I I guess you could say that. Um, I don't really find the second story itself all that interesting, which
I
is
mean, yeah, well, especially the way he tells it. And I
yeah,
mean, also, I wouldn't really want to see that play out. That would just
yeah,
be kind of, that
torture
would feel
porn.
pretty, yeah, well, just really edgy and miserable to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah, yeah. No, I do appreciate that. That's just like the scene itself. It's more so about his emotional reaction to the story, whether it's true or not, or whether it's evoking some truth in him.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like that was a smart way to like give weight to it without actually showing anything gratuitous.
Yeah.
But
Either way, his parents are dead.
yeah, I do like the line. He was a monster, but the worst thing about him was that he brought out the monster in me. That's it's a bit cliche, but it's like
Somebody help me tame this animal I have become.
yeah, I get it. It sounds edgy, but like wow, it's in the context of that story, and in the context of what we know about that character and what he's been through and his whole demeanor and values that really like that really hits different. Like if it
Yeah.
was like a super edgy, hardened, badass 40-year-old who like kills people left and right, that line would not have any weight at all. But because it's like this little, you know, sensitive, religious, pacifist, uh, young adult, it has some weight to it.
Hmm.
I don't know.
You know, my favorite scene was when he said, "It's pissing time," and pissed all over the place.
That was my favorite scene too. Well, second favorite. Uh,
Yeah. Um, is there anything else about the film that you want to discuss? Oh, actually, well, just one comment I had. Um, I was a bit surprised to see that the film was only rated PG. Like that scene, like I know they're cartoon animals, but like that scene where the hyena kills the monkey, it was kind of brutal
yeah,
and a bit disturbing.
yeah. Well, I mean, according to Hollywood, it's not actually, violence unless you see like blood and gore, but it's like,
I mean, there's a bit of blood.
yeah, it's like by that logic, like there's nothing. Most nature documentaries show very similar things, and it's like, well, by that
Yeah,
logic, nothing violent is happening there either.
I
You
guess
know,
so.
it's it's like just because there are discretion shots doesn't mean it's not like eating something alive.
Mm.
Uh,
Anything else you wanted to discuss?
I really did like his father as a character. You know, uh, I thought they could have very easily. I don't know if this is like different from the book or anything. Apparently, it's based off of a book, but it would have been very easy to make his dad, like the a straw atheist character, basically. You know, just forbids religion because he hates it and whatnot. But it's like he doesn't approve of religion, and he's not enthusiastic about his son, seeking it out. But he's still like he's not gonna stop him from like trying to find himself. I thought
Hmm.
that was very interesting.
I mean, I think that's just a good father.
Yeah, I know. Uh, but again, like in the context of like a character, it gives him some texture and weight because there are some things about him that don't make him a very good father, like making him watch a live goat be eaten. You know.
I mean, I don't know. That seems like something that just an Indian father would probably do. I mean, he's just kind of showing him how like brutal animals and nature can be. I don't really think that's him being a terrible father. It's sort of him being able to warn his son, like,
Yeah, I
hey,
mean,
don't like get too close to a dangerous animal because
yeah.
you can get killed.
I get that. He's a dumb little kid, but I don't know if it's like my dumb white boy sensibilities, but
Sheltered American.
yeah, I don't know. Uh, Generally speaking, I guess I'll give my final thoughts. I didn't really go into this film, expecting anything. It didn't have a lot of advertising. I didn't even know it was in theaters. But I guess I'm a little biased, but its themes spoke to me. I also just really like the exploration, not just of religion, of also like the relationship between humans and other animals, and how we sort of perceive and project our emotions and intellect onto them. It's like at the end the tiger still leaves him. It doesn't eat him, but it doesn't care about him enough to stay either.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like that's a really might be a little poetic, but I feel like that's like true to like what an actual animal would do after surviving a situation like that, you know.
Hmm.
Uh so I just really like this movie and everything it had to offer in terms of like visuals and themes and just the concept. It does get a little it does drag on a little until at the end during the latter half of the second half, which is why they probably introduced the carnivorous island. But
I think that was a might have been a reference to, I don't know, the lotus eaters in the Odyssey, if you remember that.
uh I do remember something about lotuses in the Odyssey.
Yeah, it's like this island that they stop at, where just a bunch of people are eating lotus flowers, and it's sort of like, people just get tricked to stay there and do nothing except eat lotus flowers, and they just sort of lose their way on their journey.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. A lot of
Yeah.
things happen. They visit a lot of islands in the Odyssey. It's hard not to mix them up. I was thinking it was the one where they get turned into pigs, but
Yeah.
yeah, getting off track here. You know, I really like this film. Even if it does have a lot of pacing issues towards the end. Your thoughts?
Um, I feel like you're able to, you know, put your thoughts into words a lot more eloquently than I am, because you're definitely a lot more passionate about this film, and I'm definitely glad you like it, and I can see how you'd connect with the themes, although I'm personally just not a huge fan of it. Not, yeah.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This film is eh.
Yeah, put that on the back of the box.
This film is eh. Bastard Swordsman. So yeah, uh, I'd recommend this film. At least if you're a fan of Ang Lee's work, uh, and if you want something a little different than most of what we're getting nowadays. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I would definitely watch this before I would watch a lot of other movies coming to theaters. Like, I'd probably rather see this again before I ever watch Avatar 2 or 3 or whatever the hell.
the I don't think anyone remembers any films that came out this year other than Spider Verse, Oppenheimer, and Barbie. And it's like,
I remember some other films that came out this year.
right, uh, like what?
Beau is Afraid,
Oh yeah,
Shin Kamen Rider,
yeah. That
although
that
that's something that just I've seen.
Bo is Afraid feels like it came out last year to me.
That's just how it gets when you age. Time, just you lose track of it.
Yeah, fucking time, boys. Anyways, yeah. I think we're about done talking about these films. What did
Um, yeah,
what?
speaking of time, though, my recommendation is a film that takes place across a large span of time and also came out a very long time ago. It's from 1941. It's Citizen Kane, directed by Orson Welles. One may say it's considered the Citizen Kane of movies.
Yeah. Oh my god. Uh, Dude, I have never seen a film that's been compared to Citizen Kane before. Pretty excited. Hope it lives up to Citizen Kane.
Well, I think that Citizen Kane fans are in for a treat.
All right. Next time we'll see if this film lives up to the legacy of Citizen Kane, or if Citizen Kane still holds the the throne.
All right. Yeah. Uh, peace.
Goodbye.